is Kenji from Riichi Mahjong Central here with a special episode. We're here interviewing a new production team. You guys may have seen them already in the last, we'll probably talk about this, but the cat food bowl, we'll probably talk about it. But we have the guests, we have the team that brought you that amazing event. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and have you guys introduce yourselves, and we have a bunch of questions for you guys. So let's see, let's go in order of the screen. Let's start with Panda, go ahead. So let me ask you, introduce yourself real quick. And then the next question would be how you got involved with Mahjong. Okay. So floor is yours.
So I'm Pandaficer. I lead the group Pandaficer Mahjong in the Panhandle of Florida. I've been in the game for about 10 years now. It all started when I discovered Gen Ryan in its early days and playing on the app and then figure out why I wasn't getting anything right or not winning. And then I slowly learned the game and taught it to all my friends. And now I try to play the game for everyone so they can learn, especially on the streaming platform Twitch. What was the second question? That's everything. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. Just for the viewers out there, what time is it in your area right now?
Currently it's a Sunday. It's 4:07 p.m. And by the way, I'm on the central side of Florida, not the eastern side. So,
okay.
Yeah. We're to the west of Tallahassee, so
okay.
We're central.
Okay, cool. So it's not too late over there. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you, Panda. We have a few more questions for you afterwards. But next, let's go ahead and hand it over to Frenetic.
Hey, I'm Frenetic. So I started playing Mahjong when I watched Akagi for a little bit, like a lot of people, and was like, oh, wow, this is really interesting anime. And I did try to play a little bit, but I didn't really get into it until I was at a TohoCon 2015. In my other hobbies, I ran the game room there. So, we had arcade games. We also had like Toho setups, the shooting game. Much like Asapine, who, before he was a Mahjong star, he was he was a Toho player. He had a lot of Toho world records. So I then met, while I was running the game room, we had members of the Pacific Mahjong League that came in and brought a Mahjong table and wanted to do a demo and teaching. They asked me because I was helping to run the room. And and so I was like, wow, I really want to learn how to play Mahjong, but I was busy doing the convention, which was very, very hectic. But afterwards, Kira, one of the heads of PML, said, hey, we don't have room for this Mahjong table. Like, why don't you, do you want it? And so later on, I was in communication with PML and then took the Mahjong table home and then was trying to do a lot of searching for other people that played Mahjong. Mm-hmm. I live in Torrance, California, which has a high Japanese population due to a lot of the car corporations being here in Torrance. So, long story short, I did as I want to do in my job. I'm a professor and librarian, and I do a lot of research. And so I did a lot of research and found that there were kind of a history of Mahjong parlors here in Torrance. And the second half was, so I was still in communication with PML. And then I was doing research and then found a place that was kind of close to my house. And that's where I met some of the future members of La Palme. So I met Masa-san around at that. And then I found a website in Japanese because I was doing a lot of machine translation and doing torrents. And then I think that's where Kenji and Junka-san had. And so basically I told Masa-san, like, hey, there's this other group that's local. I don't speak Japanese. We had a funny thing, by the way. I sent them an email in English and they closed down pretty quick, like with a password. So, but luckily I think Masa-san reached out too. And then that's, and then the story of La Palme began, so much like in Mahjong, you have to kind of do some long bets and just kind of go for it. And yeah, so I'm really happy to be involved. And this was another one when AnimEVO was saying that they were doing Mahjong Soul. I was really happy to be accepted to be part of the team. And so I helped out with commentary, but I also helped out with kind of event organization since I'm pretty experienced in project management. So I hope that worked out for a lot. So I did a lot of intercommunication between a lot of the members, did some meetings, checking in with people, which is important to have in the team. So anyways, I'm going to yield the floor to Zan and Tipzntrix. Thanks for letting me speak on that.
Right, let's go with Zan next.
Hello, my name is Zan. I was the main tournament organizer for the AnimEVO Mahjong tournament. I actually don't do much Mahjong tournament organization outside of that. I usually actually, run tournaments for the Puyo Puyo community. And I mean, we'll get into the story about this later. But how I got into Mahjong was about 10 years ago, and I was in college in Ann Arbor. And one of my friends who was part of the anime club, we were living together, and one day he just, came back from school. He says, hey, look what I got. And, lo and behold, it was like a physical Mahjong set. And, I think like pretty much everybody who's, like knows about like Japanese culture, Japanese anime, they roughly know that Mahjong exists, but, they don't really know how to play. So they're like, oh, okay, that's cool. I'll try to figure this out. So me and all other housemates were like, okay, let's Google up how to play Japanese Mahjong. We try to figure it out from there. And since then, I've been playing a little bit. I wasn't really playing seriously, but I moved around for a job. I actually moved into the Baltimore area about 2 or 3 years ago, and I was like, dang, I don't know anybody here. I kind of went on Google search to see if there are any notable Mahjong clubs here, and I guess there technically isn't. But I did notice that Korek, or Arthur McAnally, I think he's otherwise known as, he was in the Baltimore area. So, I hit him up on Discord and says, hey, do you play, Mahjong with people here? And he's like, oh yeah, we have a group. We only have 3 though. So, you're welcome to join.
You're the 4th. You're the 4th.
Yeah, exactly. And, I went there, and, like Korek's, Ho player, a lot of the other players in the Baltimore area are also, Tokujo or higher. And I was like, wow, I got completely smoked by them. So, since I wanted to not get destroyed, I kind of started taking it a little bit more seriously. So that's kind of how all that got started.
Nice. So originally from Ann Arbor. So Steve was from Ann Arbor too, right?
Right. I mean, I roughly knew about the Ann Arbor Mahjong Club. I went to maybe 1 or 2 of their meetings, but I wasn't like a regular there.
Okay. Got it. That's one club that is on the list. Hopefully once everything opens up, I get to visit them, and even Baltimore too, if possible. So great to have you on board. Thank you. We'll have a lot more questions regarding the AnimEVO project shortly. And last and not least for today, we have tips and tricks. So the floor is yours.
Hey there, I'm Tipzntrix. I'm an English-speaking Riichi streamer and commentator as of more recently, I guess you could say, especially with this production team here. So yeah, I guess that is my pitch. But how I got into Mahjong is, so this is a bit of foreshadowing for what's coming up, but I started out playing fighting games, and a lot of the arcade scene was starting to shut down. In fact, there was a funny story. When I chose which high school I wanted to go to, there was an arcade like 2 minutes away from the high school. The year I graduated elementary and went to high school, the arcade shut down. So it's not there. That's a bit of an aside. But anyway, so we had to travel about an hour, my friends and I, to go to this arcade that had the old style feel. It had fighting games, it had shmups, it had things like that. And there's this one Mahjong machine behind a wall, not visible from the front. And there's always this one guy on it. He's always there. The thing is like never vacant. And he's just playing. I don't know whether he was a friend of the owner or what. So naturally, I was like, how can something hook this guy's interest so much? So I looked over a bit when we were playing. Never really got to use the machine really, but at some point I asked my friends, "Hey, do you know Mahjong?" And one of them did happen to know Mahjong and already had a set, and
Interesting.
others were interested. And so we started playing. Not Riichi at first, but when we start to go online, you sort of find that the internet culture around Mahjong is very Riichi focused. So it was like, all right, might as well learn Riichi. And so we learned Riichi. And then now when you play online, so many of the clients are Riichi.
Interesting. Do you remember what arcade game that was?
No. I don't think I knew I don't think I knew which arcade game it was when I was there.
Okay.
But there are a lot. Now I know there are a ton of them.
Sweet. So obviously we don't have the entire crew here today. Panda, can you give a shout out to the other team members that aren't here right now? Just give them a quick shout out and who they are, what their roles are.
Yes. It was Shinky and Carrot and we did the expert commentary cast. They did an amazing job. They sounded real natural on there. I was blown away. So I'm like, I'll let you guys set the stage. But yeah, definitely shout out to Shinky and Carrot to help out on the expert cast.
Okay. So there's a difference between the first event that you guys did. There's an expert stream and then there's the main stream. Frenetic, can you explain the difference? What the two streams are?
Sure. So we wanted the Mahjong community in Riichi is very in flux, right? It's still very developing, very very new. So I think we wanted to have where we could have a stream which was a mainstream for beginners, where there would be some fighting game players that might be watching, and that they would like say, hey, what's this Mahjong Soul? It's being in the AnimEVO, which is normally a fighting game tournament, and we wanted to make sure that not only was this going to be informative, but the primary thing was to advertise and also inform. So it was to be kind of outreach where we would be able to bring in hopefully new Mahjong players. They would watch it, they would go, hey, what is this game? And then, start playing it. And that's where the anime presentation of Mahjong Soul really came into effect, and that was where a lot of crossover could happen. I'm going to leave the floor open for other people to chime in, so my other teammates would probably want to chime in on that too. As for the expert stream, I'm going to yield that to Pandaficer, since he was responsible for on that team.
Okay.
Yeah, on the expert cast, it was more of just getting into looking at the hands, describing what the players are doing. Especially when I get to chime in, like around all outs, trying to do calculations to see how close they are from reaching their goal. And we were a little more heavy on technical, like the Japanese terms as well. But we, at least for me and my habits, I always just when I stream, I would say the Japanese and then English right back, just in case. But that was the goal, just trying to get in the minds of the players, and especially with Shinky and Carrot, they both did an excellent job calling out the plays and then going into the thought processes as well.
Okay, got it. So the mainstream is more for bringing new players into the Mahjong world, the Mahjong community, and the expert is more for the already experienced, already seasoned players. So those are the two. So since we're going over to the AnimEVO stuff, so Zan, you said that you were the main organizer behind this whole thing. So if you could explain how you got involved with it, how you guys were able to find your teammates, and how everything just boomed all of a sudden.
Right. So I mean, first of all, AnimEVO is a side tournament, not a main tournament. It's a side tournament to EVO, which stands for the Evolution Championship, which is probably the largest fighting game tournament in the world. It's held every year in Las Vegas around early August, and obviously because things are a little bit different this year, because of the pandemic that's been going around, they had a decision to hold EVO online. And since us as a side tournament, usually we just set up a bunch of other games that don't get onto the main Evo lineup. You have your Street Fighters, but for Anime Evo, there are a lot of like smaller fighting games, like Melty Blood, Arcana Heart, that a lot of people are passionate about, but might not have the numbers that draw in, the big, quote unquote esports crowd. So that's we kind of had this like grassroots feel to it, and just kind of half joking when we're still doing, planning on an in-person event. We're like, hey, let's try to get Mahjong Soul out there, because Mahjong Soul had just come out in English a year ago, and around then it was like I think a lot of people were getting into it. A lot of the Anime Evo staff were playing it, so we're like, haha, maybe we'll be able to get a Mahjong Soul tournament in there somehow. Obviously, if you're trying to do a side tournament to a big event, having playing Mahjong in person presents a couple of logistical challenges. So we ended up tabling it, just not taking it seriously. When AnimEVO went online, we're like, hey, wait a second, this is a digital Mahjong client. And all of a sudden, all those logistical challenges, all of a sudden, yeah, exactly. So, we started talking about it a lot more seriously. I mean, personally, like I said in my introduction, I usually run Puyo Puyo tournaments, and due to a variety of factors, we weren't able to do that for the online event, just because it's difficult to set up online tournaments for Puyo. So I was like, well, I'm not doing anything, so let's try to get Mahjong Soul going. So that's kind of how it got started.
How long was the planning phase?
In terms of
actually really trying to get it into AnimEVO.
Probably, I think, if I remember correctly, they announced that it was the in-person tournament was getting canceled around, I believe, March or so. And around that time, all the AnimEVO staff was like, hey, let's get together to try to figure out what's going on. And, I think that's when, I said, hey, I want to get this online. And I really started pushing for it. So that's kind of when the gears started turning. And I think we announced the lineup, I believe, late May. So that's when the public first, got the knowledge about it. And that's kind of when I started putting out like calls for volunteers to help with the production.
I see. So, organized stuff in the past too, but I could only imagine how hectic it was to get all the right people together, and then all the planning stage. So Tipzntrix, let me ask you this. So obviously you're not alone. You have all these team members. How did this team actually form? Okay,
so I think a lot of that can be accredited to Zan, really, in the beginning. And then my team here, you have Frenetic, who's here on this call. I had DDR Dan, who's like extremely well connected in this very specific niche where Puyo, anime fighters, and Mahjong come together, and he's got tendrils in all of those parts. So he was a good addition. And we had my friend, who's just a really strong player and a really good commentator as well, J Cakes from Australia, who's part of this sort of, it's almost like a pickup Mahjong league called Reach Out that we were a part of. So I brought him in, and he talks well, he has good knowledge, and he's able to wake up really early because he's on Australian time. So shout outs to him for that. Yeah,
that's why he's probably not here today, but yeah.
Yeah, so there was a lot of setting up. For me, it was more of the technical details, the pragmatic things, because I was running the main or beginner stream. So for me, it's just doing my job, streaming not quite as usual, because whenever you do an event, there's like, all right, I got overlays from these guys, the production needs to look a little higher, other than you're streaming in a t-shirt and shorts, sipping on a whatever, and just like talking over playing Mahjong. It's different doing an event, right? You got to be more tight. You're managing other people's mics, kind of like what you're doing here, right? So it's typical production stuff, like do a sound check. All right, you're on in 3. We're going to cut to a break. That was my job. But the pre-organization and like getting everything set up, times and stuff, that was like Zan taking the helm and the rest of us all chipping in. I'm not sure if it's been mentioned, but Aaron Lied, who's not here right now, did a ton of coding.
Big ups to Aaron Lied. I want to second that too.
Right. Yeah, and some of the other people who help airline as well. I think Kazi, who's also from the Seattle Riichi Mahjong Club, had a big hand in that as well. And I think somebody from Mahjong New York, I don't remember their name out of the top of my head, but they also contributed a lot. So there's a lot of shout outs to give to making this whole event run. I mean, we can probably do a little more at the end.
Okay, got it. So yes, again, a lot of stuff, a lot of planning came into this. So you guys, obviously this isn't the only one. This isn't the only event. Panda, is there an upcoming event coming up where you guys are gonna come back together as a team and do commentary and all the production stuff again?
Yes. Aaron TV is hosting the Extra Lines Open, and that's going to be coming up. I think main rounds are October 31st and November 1st, and then the following weekend for the finals. Tips and I will be doing the expert stream on that one.
Okay, sweet. So that's coming up. Anything else afterwards that's coming up that we could be looking forward to?
Just more content.
Yeah, okay. I guess it would be a good time to say. So, we're have a really time tested team. We had close to 256 players in our tournament. So we'd like to maybe put out. I know Kenji, you talked to maybe the Japanese production, but in Japan for like M League and maybe other tournaments. But we would be opening to maybe doing a restream for a Japanese stream in concert with like more players. But we've had the production values from AnimEVO. We've got the organization. We have the commentators, like the style too, as well. Like, I wanted to give a handout to my, give a shout out to my fellow commentators. I think the level of Mahjong, I'm not speaking for myself, but maybe for like ho-ho players like Shinky, Zach, who's made it to the top 32. Also Pandaficer, who's played in the World Riichi Championships twice already. That it's grown, and that we would like to partner with Japanese production and see if we could do that. Especially since everything's online, Mahjong has been such a great way to kind of alleviate the anxiety, the stress. Give people some joy, and fun through Mahjong, and the nature of the game and the online system that Mahjong is being able to play at, I think we can bring that to the world. So
definitely. And you guys specialize in the live production part, right? So the commentary, the viewers out there watched the previous one, it's entertaining. Production, even just having those slides come in, everything was smooth, so looking forward to more. I, personally, because it's more of a one-man wrecking crew, it's hard to do live stuff to the level that you guys are doing. It's pretty hard to do it by yourself.
And it's not to say that like we're all separate entities. So like, yes, if you wanted to come in, Kenji, and do like a Japanese translation of like, you would be a commentator and you would overhear the Japanese commentary and say, oh yeah, they brought up this. Or also we would have an upwards of 200, a combined of maybe 300 live viewers that would interact with the commentators, as well as asking questions. So we're open. We're not just like a set team, but we wanted to show that there's here in the West that there's a domestic. We have the technical know-how and also some of the commentary stuff. But we need maybe if there would be a partnership with Japan that wants to spread out Mahjong some more, because it is. A cultural export, like the cool Japan export.
Definitely.
Popularize like M League maybe, and the pros there that work so hard to further the game of Mahjong. So.
Yeah, the level of live production is definitely you guys. I think you guys are definitely giving more confidence to people to, to do stuff like this. Not just live commentary, but just putting out content out there. Panda, you're one of the leaders in the Western world when it comes to that too. I'm more of a post-production kind of guy because that's the type of school that I came from. But yeah, trying to tinker stuff, trying to throw in new elements, add my own flavor into the Mahjong community. So, but definitely live production is your guys' thing. So if there's viewers out there, if you guys are planning to do any live or even in-person events, right? If you guys are willing to fly out, or if you guys are nearby any of the live tournaments, you guys are willing to do commentary and stuff like that too, I'm assuming.
Potentially.
Okay.
Yeah. We're all eager to just kind of further mahjong,
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
And I'll say, like, when AnimEVO happened, I was coming off a cat food bowl, and honestly, that was trial by fire for me because I only do so much on my live stream, but then going through the full production, I'm back in middle school doing the TV show again. But like after that week, I told myself I'm not going to quit. I'm going to get this, and I'm going to be fierce when it comes to AnimEVO. And I feel like I did better. I still need to improve, but that's why I keep on doing these things to help improve myself. Quite honestly, because if I quit, there's no point. I just have to keep pushing myself.
All right.
Right. Yeah.
So if there's, go ahead.
Yeah, I also want to, again, we mentioned Aaron Light as one of the people who helped out, coding the bot that actually ran the tournament. But he also, if you look at any of the AnimEVO streams, the special overlay that we use, that was also mostly coded by Aaron Light as well. So all the special like effects transitions, being able to switch and overlay the players and their point
scores
count.
And that was
right. That was AnimEVO provided as a basic template, but as that one was geared towards fighting games, Mahjong 4-player game already very different. All the extra customizations that we did to fit it onto the Mahjong Soul layout, that was all Aaron Lied.
And he was also very quick, like especially mine when we went to the mode where all three of us were going to be on. He whipped up a quick layout real quick, and it was pretty awesome. So kudos to him.
So a lot of potential and a lot of growth on top of what's already a valued production. So if there's any inquiries, I guess, in the description, we'll go ahead and have your contact info. So if, you want a little commentary, you could ping one of these guys, message one of these guys. The link to the previous production is also in the description down below. So if you guys want to check out what they did, go ahead and check that out. So we're kind of running down on time because for some reason Zoom is limiting a conference call for non-paid members. There's a countdown. It's going to end in 2.5 minutes. So any last shout outs from you guys?
I'd like to take one here. I really want to shout out for the Canadian scene. The Riichi Montreal tournament is actually happening on the 3rd and 4th of October. So it's actually before the Extra Lions, which is the Extra Lions, I can confirm, is the 31st of October, 1st and 7th of November. So it's coming up. Normally this would be a in-person tournament, but because of the situations, it's online and anyone can enter. So you don't actually have to be from Canada. I will be casting it probably with another Canadian co-commentator. There's probably why it hasn't been let out to the rest of the team. It's sort of a Canadian, but yeah. So that's coming up. Okay.
Looking forward to that one. Yeah, that's going to be mentioned in the upcoming Riichi Mahjong Monthly episode too. So hopefully that'll bring a lot of people to play. If it falls on a Sunday, I'll probably be able to participate too. But most tournaments are on Saturday, so that's kind of unlikely.
Right. Yeah. And thanks for having us.
Cool. All right. Yeah. Writing down any other shout outs, guys?
I did want to shout out everybody who was involved in the production, both on running tournament and on the stream. So I'll try to go as fast as possible. So we had Aaron Lyde, we mentioned Banana Milk, Withheld, Silent Image, who were sub players. We needed them to make sure all the tables were filled up, but we didn't have a full set of 4. Q, or Edwin, I think he's otherwise known as well as Luke from Mahjong New York, who gave me a lot of advice. They well connected the community, helped connect me with a lot of people. Oh, I believe SPT 101 from Australia. He also helped out, as well as does Mono, who I think was another sub player, as well as Experimok, who was kind of halfway in between the fighting game community and Mahjong community as well.
So a lot of names, a lot of people making this happen. So
Right.
yeah. So yeah, you know, looking forward to more. If you guys are watching this, go ahead and support your creators. There's a bunch of them out there. There's more coming. And once again, thank you all for coming today, and looking forward to more stuff from you guys soon. All right, until next time. See you guys.